Hey everybody, it's Booksy. I just wanted to come to you today with something a little new. I wanted to respond to some of my comments that I've been getting on the video. I'm not going to respond to the Twitter stuff right now, but just do this really quick, kind of for fun, and then also just to help give you some more information. So yeah, let's just get started. So this is from our cruise, and this is December 1st, by the way. This is 9 hours ago, so some of these are going to be a little outdated, but I just wanted to address them. So I appreciate your TA. I've also been following your TA and Ader. If they have the power to manipulate the stock through fractals, why don't they just drive the price to zero? Thank you for all you do. So let me just put it like in a different light. So fractals are just building blocks for how they get from A to B, right? How they make a move. And so the fractals, if you want to think about them like a road or roadmap, that's kind of a good way to think about it. But they can go off-road if they want to, and they don't have to necessarily obey their own rules, if that makes sense. Even if you were to anticipate patterns, they play out most of the time because institutions set them up that way. And you have to sort of ask the question, like, if they didn't drive it to zero, why not? Right? If they could do that. The short answer is that they can't drive it to zero because they don't own all of the stock, right? And they're not the only ones buying and selling it. And then another part of that is maybe they don't want to drive it to zero. Like in the case of a Wyckoff accumulation, the goal isn't to drop it to zero. The goal is to test out the liquidity zones, to test whether or not the buyers or sellers are stepping in force. They're basically, you can think about it like they're throwing out bait for retail and seeing what takes. And right now, if we're looking at it in terms of Wyckoff, it's an accumulation schematic. That means they're buying more. They want it to go up. They don't want it to go to zero. And I'm talking about bullish institutions. I'm not talking about shorts that might be trapped in the play. Interpiece said, looks like we hit the bottom of the demand zone. Going to be tough to watch my account go to so low. Yeah, this is a tough one because I'm not immune to market emotions either. I feel it, but my way of thinking is that if you have conviction in the play, and I think like Wrench Capital says this, if you have conviction and nothing's changed, then your conviction shouldn't change. Like just because the price moves the way you don't want it to move, sometimes that's just normal price action. Like that's just the way stocks move because, again, you have all these different entities who are vying for the same thing. Yeah, don't watch your account so much as just watching the charts and watching your conviction. Okay, this is actually a response to something else. Okay, well, someone asked me if there's these large spikes at the end of the day, what does that mean? Is that a bullish sign? And Gala on Discord responded and said, hey, I want to give you a heads up about end of day volume spikes. As I know it's an indicator by which you determine your markings. Mutual fund traders aggregate and execute all trades for the trading day's liquidity adjustments just before close. Therefore, the order type, which is widely a market at close order. So vast volume trades at single price, I think market maker equilibrium at the close. And market at close orders are sent to the mutual fund trading brokerage ahead of time so it can be managed. Thus, one big candle signifying virtually nothing. So this is really good information. I would love to research this more and understand it better, but I appreciate this response. So maybe those big end-of-day volume spikes or even sell-offs sometimes may just be this. Juan Rowe _ put, each cycle looks smaller than the previous, a way to dissipate momentum. Yes. So the reason that a Wyckoff schematic works so well is because retail gets kind of burned out early on. And it allows them to sort of manipulate the stock within a given range, the normal trading range, for a pretty extended period of time. And that lets them basically, my cats are fighting, that lets them get the accumulated stuff that they want to get, right? And then also it's a way of, it's like a second test on retail. Like if retail's burning out and they do a sell test and retail doesn't sell, then that's an indicator for them that the price can move higher. And if they are doing these buying tests, right, these liquidity tests, and retail's jumping on board every time they see the stock run up, that also indicates to them that, okay, retail wants this thing to go higher. and that retail or other institutions will back an upward move. Okay, so it accomplishes multiple purposes to have the volume deplete. Hey, something you said at the end had me wondering what you think they're necessarily competing fractals. They're both long and shorts. Makes sense if they're running against each other. This is from Maelstrom. Yes. So there are obviously people who are long, and then there are people who are short, and then there are institutions who are long and institutions who are short. So yes, absolutely. And that all kind of works together on the fractals that we see. Sparrow 7, you got sucked into the pattern cycle fractal BS. It's much more simple than what you're trying to figure out. Everyone will look back on these days and say, I can't believe I fell for all the MOAS BS for over a year. Well, if you're right, you're right. I mean, we'll find out, right, soon enough. And I'm happy to be wrong. I mean, I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. Like I said, I just play it by my conviction right now. I'm convicted that there's a fractal pattern. I'm convicted that there's the very strong likelihood of another move up, that the institutions are using Wyckoff accumulation right now. And those are my strong convictions. And I've seen the fractal pattern. And I did get sucked into the pattern cycle, BS, as you call it. And then I found that there was more to it. And as I've been failing at that, I've learned a lot more about it. And it's really done nothing but make my conviction stronger. That's where I stand. And I think it's great that you came here to tell me this. I don't know. Very interesting. This is Kenneth. I've been alarmed by the recent down volume, and this was on November 24th. It's so low. Normally, I would take this as a warning. It seems to be harder for funds to push down as someone who's buying shares. Today, volume last half was averaging 25 to 35 shares a minute, extremely low. We're getting to a big move very soon. Well, you're right, and we got the big move, and it was a downward move. I do think it's meant to be a final accumulation move. So on lower volume, imagine you have like infinite amount of shorts at your disposal, which you're not supposed to, right? But because of rehypothecation and naked shorting, you do. Imagine the low buying and selling volume. Doesn't really matter which it is. If the volume is low and you can dump, let's say 30 million, right, against this 25,000, then you can move the price pretty easily because there's not enough buying pressure to like stop you at that point. But the reverse is also true, right? So when they start buying 30 million and there's no longer that sell pressure because the volume is low, then it can also rocket pretty quick. So that volume exhaustion is actually a good thing when you see the price sort of going down a little. So if you're looking at overall price trend from 72 down to where we are now, which is, I guess, 33, and the fact that the volume has done nothing but deplete, that's not necessarily a bad thing considering we've held our price so well, and that those who are against the stock haven't been able to push it back down. Andrew 1059 asks, so do these fractals happen naturally because of manipulation, or are they just a result of trading? I'm a bit confused. So this was on the fractal video. I'm going to make another one about fractal relationship. You can do like graphing algorithms for relationships. And I think this is where retail is always going to have like this poor hand in the deck, because I really do believe that the algorithms that these institutions are running, they are very selfish, but I think that they include all these other factors that retail just cannot mathematically include into their calculations. If you think about it in terms of manipulation, it can sound like, oh, they're cheating. And I think there might be some of that, like naked shorting would be cheating. It's not right. It's not fair. It shouldn't happen. But everybody manipulates the stock. When you buy and sell, you're causing, the bid and the ask to shift. And so basically, like, you're always manipulating, you're enacting your will, whether it's tiny, like a micro percent of an inaction, or like really big, right? I think the reason it's so tipped is because institutions can have such a big sway, and retail, we can only act as individuals. So yeah, unless you're like a multi-billionaire, you can't compete. Not in the same way, right? And that's the reason why the ape movement is so significant, and why there have been like court hearings about it, because now people are asking the question, why is it considered manipulation, right? When all of these individuals decide they like a stock and buy in. But it's not manipulation before when a multi-billion-dollar company decides to drive a stock to the ground, right? Kind of messed up. And then my favorite commenter, one, this person, I don't know who you are, one, but you've commented on like 4 videos and you're always very insightful with comments like rubbish. But man, you're like my favorite. I don't know. I love these comments. I think they're just great. They're super helpful for me. And I don't know. I just enjoy, I just want to boop your little nose. Boop. Hello, one. Boop. Anyways, that's it for today. I didn't want to go too long, but I appreciate it. I hope you all have a good one.